Got this milk coffee. Ooh. Ooh. Was I supposed to shake this? Pikmin 3 is coming to the Switch. Oh my gosh, my prayers have been answered. Guys, so yesterday I did record a reaction. I don't know what happened, something went wrong. The reaction video like disappeared on me. I will try to dig for it and try to find it. It's probably gonna be my best reaction ever. I had my plushies, I was throwing them all over the place. But unfortunately, I lost it. I woke up to everyone texting me saying, Cisco, your big moment, Pikmin is here. Cisco, Pikmin, Cisco, Pikmin. And I'm like, no, oh my gosh. And it was Pikmin 3, a port of the Wii U. Now, some people are looking at this like it's a bad thing. But me, whew, if you're gonna give me ports from the Wii U to the Switch, the number one I was gonna ask for was Pikmin 3. Oh my goodness. As you guys know, I'm a huge Pikmin fan, and now that Pikmin 3 is coming to the Switch, I want to just say it now, I'm going to be making quite a bit more Pikmin content. In fact, I have a whole notebook of things, of stuff I want to talk about for Pikmin. See, Pikmin is a very, very special series for me, and I want to just share the love for it. So, a bunch more projects are coming for Pikmin, and we'll be leading up until Pikmin 3, and then hopefully this sets the stage for Pikmin 4. But anyways, that's not what we're going to talk about. We are going to be talking about Pikmin 3 and why it's more than just a port. So a lot of ports of the game, a lot of the deluxe versions, they're usually like, what? They add a little bit of content, but overall it's just the base game. I feel like Pikmin 3, so just to give a little more background, Pikmin 3 came out 7 years ago. And before Pikmin 3, I believe it was like 10 years ago since Pikmin 2. Yes, I was a Pikmin fan since Pikmin 1. By the time I was playing Pikmin 1, I believe Pikmin 2 was already out. But anyways, I played those in entirety, 100% of them. I love Pikmin, and it took me forever growing up as a kid just waiting for number 3 to come out. When 3 came out, I couldn't even get my hands on it. It was actually rare. I don't know, Nintendo didn't make a lot of copies. It was sold out everywhere. If you wanted a copy, gosh darn, it was like 70 bucks. Then it became a Nintendo Select, and everyone was able to get their hands on it for $20. So some of you guys who are like, oh man, Nintendo took it off the eShop. Okay, well, you had 7 years to buy this game for 20 bucks. But it's still available for $20. Just go on Amazon and I promise you, you can buy Pikmin 3 for 20 bucks. Or you can wait for the Switch version. And I'm going to elaborate what the Switch version includes. See, it's just a little bit more of a port. And Nintendo took so long to get this port out. What I love is Nintendo could have easily just dished out Pikmin 3 and call it a day. But they didn't. See, Nintendo put a little bit more care into this Pikmin game. They added features that people from Pikmin 3 were complaining about. Starting off, we have the main game for Pikmin 3. You have the main game, you have the story, right? But there's something about it. You see, they added co-op to the Pikmin 3 story game. Now, I can't confirm if it's online because from what I'm reading and from what I've seen, there is no co-op online. But maybe they'll change things around the corner, who knows. But from right now, there is no online co-op. But there is couch co-op, so if you have a friend, you guys can play Pikmin 3 together. They changed up the mechanics a little bit. Obviously, the Pikmin 3 relied heavily on the gamepad, and you would use the gamepad to touch the screen. You would command 3 different captains. You would send like Brittany over to fighting some bosses. You would send Charlie find some fruit, and you would send Alf to go explore, right? So you would send them and strategize and send them different places. In this game, it seems like there's probably a corresponding button that opens up the map, and then you can go from there. It seems like, from what they're saying, is you detach the Joy-Cons, it looks like the motion is gonna come back. That was a huge thing for Pikmin 1 and 2. See, Pikmin 1 and 2 was using the GameCube controllers and you use the analog sticks. But In Pikmin 1 and 2 for the Wii, when they ported it over, they added motion controls, and that was like the best thing. However, with the Joy-Con drift being such a problem, I don't know how that's gonna play. I personally hope I can play with my Pro Controller. I will not be talking about story spoilers, but I will say that in Pikmin 3, Olimar and Louie, those were the main characters for Pikmin 1 and 2. And those guys were really nowhere to be seen in Pikmin 3. They did play a part of the story. They were a big part of the story, but they were not playable. And this game, this port, they have made it where there's going to be a prologue and an epilogue, and you will be able to play as Olimar and Louie. For those who've never played Pikmin, that's probably like, okay, so what? For us Pikmin fans, oh my gosh, that is a big deal. Because you grew up with Olimar and Louie being like the main characters, and you had Smash Brothers, you know, you have Olimar and Smash. It's like Xenoblade Chronicles 2 having Rex, but in Smash Brothers there's Shulk, and it's just like, huh? Olimar and Louie could be returning to the game as playable characters. That is exciting, and in the story, you want to know more about them because they like dropped hints and there was kind of like things they were talking about that happened to them, but overall, nothing really there. This will be new story, adding to Louie and Olimar's adventure. They added a difficulty option. I think that's really interesting. We don't know yet if it's gonna be harder difficulty, which I hope it is, or if it's gonna be easier difficulty. Because people do find Pikmin hard. I mean, me and Linkachu, we just raided some guy on stream one time, and that dude was literally trying to beat the final boss of Pikmin 1 by rushing in with an army of Pikmin and just throwing it at the mouth. And he was like, this game's too hard, blah, 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 blah. And I was like, dude, you gotta go get the bombs. Use yellow Pikmin bombs and then throw it at Bulblax and you'll kill him. No, that doesn't work, that doesn't work. Whew. Well, this is clearly too difficult for some adults. So they're probably gonna add a easier difficulty and say your Pikmin can't die or something, I don't know. They said that they're balancing some of the bosses. Now, I'm gonna just let you in and say that some of these bosses in Pikmin 3 can be cheesed. Maybe they balanced out some of the bosses. They probably did, because there was a lot of bosses you could cheese. This one is a hallelujah for Pikmin fans. You see, in Pikmin 2, they added something called the Piklopedia. And what it was anytime you defeated an enemy and you know the Pikmin took it, then get it in this like Pokedex of enemies, right? When you wanted to go back to like your hub world, what you can do is you can look at the different enemies you fought and you can look at the stats. Olimar would give his like scientific analysis on the enemy, and then you also had Louie who would talk about like the cooking he would do, because Louie apparently ate like every creature in the game. When Pikmin 3 came out, they took that feature away and it just felt so empty. You played as the Kopai, and when you were playing throughout this game, it was like once you beat the story, there wasn't really much to do. Yes, there was like bingo battle and challenge mode or whatever it was, but it just didn't feel the same. When Pikmin 3 came around, they took the feature away. You play through the whole story, and when you go back to the hub world, you would never get to see features like that, like the different enemies you captured or the different fruits you've gotten, all in kind of the same layout, you know? Then they released Hey Pikmin on the 3DS, and they brought back the Piklopedia, and people were really happy about it, saying, yo, Hey Pikmin has it. Oh man, I wish they brought it to Pikmin 3. Well, happy to say, Pikmin 3 indeed has Piklopedia back, and it also has the notes again. And what you see is that we have like the first 3 Kopai captains, they have notes on the creatures, and we also have Olimar and Louie's. That's 5 notes per creature. That is actually really exciting. And also on top of that, I think they brought back the Pick carrots, because if you look at the Bulborb, I think there's a little Pick carrot at on the floor. What the big deal about that is that if you wanted to see an enemy have an attack animation, you would throw the carrots and they would attack the carrots, like if it would attack a Pikmin. And I mean, it was just a small feature, but it was really fun. Almost like you were at a zoo and you're looking at all these dangerous creatures and throwing food to see how they would react. It was a lot of fun. We don't know yet if you can feed the enemies, but we do know that you can watch them, you can look at them, read about them, and I believe Louie has his cooking products again. Cooking recipes, sorry. On top of the Piklopedia, they also added, I never thought I would see the light of day, they added an achievement system. An achievement system to Pikmin 3. People I saw on Twitter were like, why don't you just add this as a default feature for Switch? Why did you add it to Pikmin 3? Oh man, for now, I don't care. Pikmin 3 with an achievement system, that's gotta be like one of the best things ever. I remember when ARMS came out, and I am like, man, they desperately need an achievement system to get me to keep playing. Well, Pikmin 3 also has an achievement system now, and from what it showed is like, I think it says like defeat 10 enemies or defeat 10 Bulborbs, and you got like a badge for a Bulborb. That's amazing! Like, you're gonna have me play through this game, like trying to get all the trophies, all the achievements, all the badges. And this is a really big help too, because with the added difficulty, with the Picklepedia, with the badges, it's gonna give this game a whole new breath of life. Reason being, I think Pikmin 3 was really boring because there was no difficulty changes, there was nothing to work towards. Once you beat the game, it was kind of it. There was no replayability. At least in Pikmin 2, that when you beat the main story, you can keep going. When you beat the second half of Pikmin 2, you know, there's like after story. Once you beat that, you can still go back and mess around. But this wasn't like that. But with all these added features, I think Pikmin 3 is definitely gonna be something really exciting and something new. It's gonna get me back to playing over and over to get all the achievements. So I think this is amazing, and I think this is a step in the right direction. I can talk about this game all day long, but I pretty much covered everything there is to Pikmin 3, at least for the new features. This port, I feel like they added a bunch of new stuff. I feel like they really worked on it. So it feels a little bit more than the port, because I'm telling you, this doesn't feel like a port to me. I am excited to play this, because any other port, I'm like, oh, I'll buy it and I'll play it. No. This feels like a brand new game to me. Like, I am stoked for this game, and I cannot wait to play it. If you guys have never played Pikmin, I strongly recommend playing Pikmin 3. You don't need to know the first 2 games to play Pikmin 3. It's kind of its own story. You'll know a little bit more backstory if you play the first 2, but it's not a big deal. And either way, I'm going to be releasing a video where I recap the first 2 games. So you can catch up while you wait for Pikmin 3. And when Pikmin 3 comes out, you'll be all caught up. Well, that wraps up everything I had to say about the new port of this game. I'm excited about it. Let me know, guys, what are your thoughts? Are you excited to play this game? Are you like disappointed because you didn't want to port after all these months of waiting? I understand that point too. And just let me know, are you planning on buying it? Do you want to know more about it? Do you want to see more Pikmin content? Because I will post some out, and then you guys can watch them and learn more about the Pikmin series. Again, thank you for watching, guys, and I'll catch you on the next one. See ya.